the supernatural.
Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade, a full past audio drama, for free at spiritblade.com.
Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about the Netflix series premiere of Warrior Nun? Stick around and find out. That's a super deep cut for Spirit Blade fans. Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of the Netflix series premiere of Warrior Nun, episodes 1 and 2. The synopsis on IMDb reads, after waking up in a morgue, an orphaned teen discovers she now possesses superpowers as the chosen halo bearer for a secret sect of demon-hunting nuns. So, yeah, that's the show. It's a fish out of water is the chosen one type of story. There's an unseen world that an unlikely person is destined to be the hero of, you know. So if you think The Matrix, it has a very similar kind of premise or formula. It reminds me even more of the Spirit Blade audio drama, which I put out years ago, which mashes up cyberpunk and the supernatural, you know, comic book style fantasy type stuff, and heroes are going up against these extra dimensional demons. I mean, there's some striking similarities, which you can download the legacy version of Spirit Blade at spiritblade.com for free. Anyway, end of my self-indulgence there. It's surprisingly character-focused, despite keeping that story moving forward, which I appreciated. Our main hero, I should say, Ava, is brought back to life after spending, we don't know exactly how she died. That's kind of a mystery that I think is going to be revealed later on in the series or the season, but she is brought back to life after spending most of her childhood, from 7 up until the time she died, as a quadriplegic. And so her being revived and not just coming back to life, but discovering that she can walk, she can feel. I just found her joy infectious at her being healed and able to feel and to run, you know. She is rough and crass as a character, but understandably, because she grew up in this cloistered environment with probably abusive in some form nuns that were overseeing her. And so she has this combination of being like crass and just kind of angry and bitter, but also very naive because of the cloistered existence that she had for her upbringing. And they explore really the sweetness of her character. They have this ongoing developing flirtation between her and a boy that she meets. On most other shows, by episode 2, these two would have had sex already, you know. But I've got through episode 2, and it doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon. Maybe in the 3rd episode, I don't know. But I just love that they're taking their time and they're making it sweet, you know, instead of it just being all sweaty and, you know, all that stuff. Similarly, in terms of being character-oriented, the warrior nuns that are trying to find Ava are this tightly bonded sisterhood. And so they're exploring this relationship of these deep platonic friendships between women. And I mean, this show, with so many women in the cast, so many young women, so many physically fit women, could have so easily leveraged sexiness and sexuality in so many ways that they don't do, at least in these first 2 episodes. And it instead focuses on these rich, non-sexual types of relationships and interactions between people. I mean, it's really felt refreshing and so much more substantive to me as a result of that focus. Ava's progressive discovery of her superpowers is both really cool as like a comic book nerd who loves seeing, you know, characters gain superpowers and stuff, and you imagine yourself in their shoes, especially if it's a fish out of water story. I love fish out of water characters. And so it's really cool on that nerd level, but it's also really heartwarming because at the same time she's discovering just the wonder of being self-sufficient, able to care for herself, able to be outside, able to use her body, you know. And so it was so heartwarming to me to see those things wrapped up right alongside her learning that, oh my gosh, she has this healing ability and stuff. So I find her character so endearing at this point. I really hope she stays that way throughout the series. There's definitely action, and I wouldn't call it rare. I wouldn't call it action-packed, even though, like I said, they keep moving things forward. I was never bored, you know. I always felt like things were moving forward and advancing, you know, even if it was just sometimes about her character advancing in her exploration of this new life that she has and the world that she hasn't seen for, you know, over a decade, you know. But it's less about flashy fights and more about surviving devastating encounters with the opposition, which is both human and demonic in this story, and they are hunting down our heroes and just presenting a huge, scary threat. Despite the bonkers-sounding title and premise, the subject matter is all taken pretty seriously, and that helped to sell the whole package to me. There are humorous moments in the story, but they come from largely Ava's either cynical or shocked reactions to the world that she is discovering for the first time. As far as the performances go, it's filled with delightfully unfamiliar faces. I love that because it just keeps me from being distracted by, oh, I know this actor from such and such or whatever. So to see all these faces that I'm at least not familiar with was really great, especially since they were all working well in their roles. And Alba Baptista, if that's how you pronounce her name, as Ava, the central character, is the standout for me, and I think it has a lot to do with the type of character arc she has to work with. This pure, infectious joy and naivete that she's portraying really just was triggering feelings of compassion and affection for her in me. So really enjoyed her performance, but found all the performances to be really appropriate for what they were supposed to be as characters, what they were supposed to be doing. As far as the stunts and visuals go, I thought the visuals all looked really solid, nice, solid TV quality, I should specify. Better than the CW for sure, but not quite the best in premium television to my eye either. It's the overall film quality, just the shooting style, the lighting style, all those kinds of stylistic elements, really nice production values. But the visual effects come just shy of being like, wow, okay, they're raising the bar. They're not raising the bar. In fact, it falls maybe a little bit short of some other premium TV I've seen. But there's enough quality in all those special effects types of moments to sell me on the moment and not keep me distracted from what's happening because of the low quality of the effects. All right, so are there any themes in this thing that might trigger some worthwhile thought or contemplation or conversation about moral, philosophical, or spiritual issues? Lots. I mean, I think this show lends itself very well to that just because of the theme itself, because the Catholic faith is so front and center to all that's going on. Ava was raised by cruel nuns running her orphanage. She concluded as a result of that everything she taught by them was crap. And I think that likely parallels many who had bad experiences with nun teachers in Catholic school. I can't tell you how many times I've heard those kinds of stories, either from people I know or even more so in media as people share their own stories. Certainly it's in fiction as well, but I've heard lots of people, you know, that are public personalities or whatever, talking about the bad experiences they had. And what does it do? It certainly at least seems to be a major component in them turning away from their faith and saying that's all a bunch of baloney and stuff. And so I think that this is really going to strike a chord with a lot of people in that position, or, you know, not necessarily just Catholics, but other people who were maybe raised in a Christian environment that was in some way oppressive, that was in some way legalistic, that in some way the key representatives of the faith, the teachers of the faith, were really broken people that brought harm into those people's lives. And so as a result, they may find that they've just rejected the faith that they were taught by those sources. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of parallels that a lot of people will feel. What's interesting is that she discovers very early on that there was at least some truth to what they taught, what these horrible nuns were teaching. And so she's forced to realize that, okay, I can't throw out everything that she learned from them. She's forced to separate the horrific nature of her teacher's character from the information that they taught. And she's now considering, okay, what of this might have been real? And I think that's really, really valuable for people in that kind of situation to consider. There are also clearly good Catholic leaders represented in this story, mixed in with the bad. You know, the nuns she was raised by are not the only corrupt Catholic leaders, but they're certainly the ones that are, I would say, just out and out kind of evil. But there are other Catholic leaders that are corrupt, maybe well-meaning in some ways, and then there's at least one other Catholic leader that is like really good and seems like a really good-hearted, person with good motives. And so I appreciated that kind of diversity in the representation of faith and the teachers of faith. It can often be very one-sided in stories like this, or if there is like a good Christian or a good Catholic or something, they also just happen to not believe a lot of, what a Catholic or a Christian in their shoes, should believe or would believe, So it's nice that there are some people in here that represent Christianity and they're good, good moral people. They're loving and compassionate people, but they also clearly believe in the truth of the core elements of the Christian faith. So what's interesting to me, though, is for all the talk of demons being real and for them actually being real in the story and characters fighting against them or encountering them, one character that's really key to every form of Christianity is predictably not seen in the story, but surprisingly, I don't think even mentioned once, and that's God. I certainly don't remember Jesus being mentioned. Maybe in Latin at some point in passing. I don't know, but I don't remember any talk of God, any talk of Jesus. The fate of both humanity and heaven in this story, as revealed in the second episode, depend on the good guys finding and protecting a supernatural artifact. And I'm thinking, why isn't God recognized as the ultimate guaranteed victor? I mean, I can understand Earth maybe being savaged by demons for a while if they don't get their hands on this artifact, but why in the world should heaven itself, God's dwelling place, be at risk because of some artifact that's out in the wild on Earth? So there's certainly some doctrinal, logical inconsistencies all over the place, but not in terms of like how they use the source material of the core doctrines of Christian faith, but they're not immediately and glaringly obvious all the time to the point where I was like not able to engage and kind of want to root for the heroes in the story. And so I appreciate the ways that they did, consistently take inspiration from Christian doctrine. So I have no idea what your tastes are in TV shows or movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, hey, I'm in. I wouldn't get a Netflix subscription for it, even to binge the season for 1 month. I mean, that's like $12.99, and so it's, not really worth it to me, but I'm a bargain hunter. You know that about me, so I would definitely try this series. Once it's complete, I know that it was able to run its course without being canceled on a cliffhanger or something dumb like that, and then once that's happened, I'd look for a used, deeply discounted bargain bin copy of the first season, and in all likelihood, at least those first 2 episodes would be a real treat in that kind of scenario. All right, it has no MPAA rating, but it has the TVMA rating for language and gore. And those are all of my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell to stay connected. I want to say thank you to the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about all the benefits and exclusive content you can get for joining over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then I hope you'll join us soon over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade, a full past audio drama, for free at spiritblade.com.